Namaskar, this is my 36th lecture. Before I go further into jihad, love jihad, conversion, we have to talk about something else that is very important. That is the Marxist and the feminist concept of critique, rather, of what is known as liberal secularism. So let's see. And I want you to keep in mind this movement of history through the contradictions between the relations of production, modes of production, and the superstructure. Now, Marx, in his Jewish Question, critiques secularism. How so? This essay, The Jewish Question, is a very influential essay. Here he critiques a public intellectual called Bruno Bauer. What is the context? The Bruno Bauer is saying that the Jewish minority has an absolute contradiction with a theocratic Christian state. So his solution is, Bruno Bauer's, that is, solution is to completely, the Jewish people have to completely assimilate by giving up their religion, because the contradiction is that of a religion. It's very interesting. In theocratic states, in modern times, that's what they're doing. You give up your religion and you assimilate. And if we look at Bangladesh, Pakistan, and why is the torture going on in minorities, it's exactly that. So we'll come to that later, conversion and so forth. But for Marx, Bruno Bauer is making the question non-political and theological, but actually it is a political question. Why? He says, see, religion is in the superstructural level. If you take this model, and if that is so, religion evolved at a certain point in history. For example, the theocratic, the religions, the three monotheism came during agricultural system. And since they evolved at a certain point of history, they will evolve out. They will go out of human existence. So what has a beginning has an end. Now, for Marx, Germany was theocratic at that time. France, because it was post-revolution, it was constitutionally secular. That is, there is a distinction between the state and the religious institution. Public, the state; private, religious institution; market, and so forth. So this is not enough, because according to Marx, the culture is still overwhelmingly Catholic in France. So in North America, he says, there could have been a real separation of the state and the religious institution, the church, which is the religion of the dominant majority people. See, this is the distinction, which is his critique. The state versus there's a private sphere where individuals can act privately. And he says that this doesn't work, because what is public, what is private, this distinction, they overlap with each other. And here is his critique of the bourgeoisie. The bourgeoisie lives two lives, kind of schizophrenic life. In the public, in the state, they act as universal citizens who have no identities, like religious identities, ethnic identities, and so forth. But in their private life, they have their racial identities, their faith identities, and so forth. Is it possible for a human being to live these two lives? So he's a universal human being, just human, stripped of all identities of race, class, gender, etc. But in the private, he has retained all his identities. Marx says that if you push religion under the carpet, then it's like a bomb. It's going to come out and it's going to influence the state. So for him, secularism really doesn't work. What does he want? He wants religion to go away from the public, which liberalism, bourgeois liberalism talks about, and the private. Both. So there should be nothing based on religion. That is the European Enlightenment. Everything should be based on human reason. That is the Marxian critique. The bourgeois lives two lives. And again, when you put something like as potent as religion in people's lives, it will influence the public. So it has to go. What is the feminist critique of secularism? The feminist critique is that when you privatize something, the state will not interfere. For example, if you privatize domestic sphere, then in case of domestic violence, you will say the state cannot enter. This is the liberal fallacy. that this is my private sphere, the state cannot enter. That is the feminist critique. So the feminist is not critiquing the bourgeois as such, but this whole public-private dichotomy is ideological. And now you won't let the state enter into domestic violence and so forth. But that's not true. The state takes care of, the private sphere also. If there's domestic violence, child abuse, which usually happens in the private sphere, the state does take care. So that is your feminist critique. So we have to understand these two. Now, what Amit Kuro is saying, which in my previous lecture I talked about, he says actually the role of the bourgeois is positive in Muslim majority nation. Doesn't matter whether it's constitutionally secular or not, because they are the ones who broke the alliance of the priestly class and the state in Europe, say in the French Revolution, and the ulamas and the state are in strong alliance and they're corrupt, and only if the bourgeois class is strong, in other words, if capitalism breaks through, that will break. So we have all these different kind of thinking. Although Amit Kuro, as I said, he is giving a Marxist analysis, but here he goes against Marxist. So for him, secularism will have its problems, but it is also important, the liberal idea of private-public dichotomy. As far as I'm concerned, I more go with Marx, that we need secularism. I'm also a critic of Marx. We go with secularism for a while. It's a historical process, and then we'll see how human beings evolve. Maybe with technology it will evolve. We will have robots, we'll have cyborgs, as I talked about in my previous lecture. So far, this is very important, and now next time we'll go, my next lecture, again we'll go to conversion, love, jihad, demographic change, and everything that we are discussing before. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and there is a QR code for donation for our Sowaka Foundation, and please do so if you wish to, so that we can continue doing these videos. Namaskar.